In today's session, we're going to be asking which 10 questions must you ask before starting your speaking career, otherwise you'll end up on stage with a microphone going, I haven't thought this through properly, have I? Welcome back to Speak on Stage. I'm Dave Crane, your host of the podcast and of the visual feast that we create for you every time we do this show. By the way, if you don't know where our other shows are, you can find them on Spotify, on iTunes, and various different places. We're broadcasting live now to Facebook, to LinkedIn, and to YouTube, and a few others I can't remember. But anyway, they are all good different places to see us. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to share them with me. And also, most of all, make sure that you do say hi, so we know whereabouts in the world you are. And I will say hi backwards, even if it's in the replay, because I care. That's true. All right, so today's session is 10 questions you must ask before starting your speaking career. As I mentioned earlier, this is Speak on Stage, and it's really a pleasure to have you here. While we're talking about speaking, let me tell you about an event that's coming up soon. In fact, I say soon. It depends on when you're going to actually watch this video or listen to this podcast. But it will be an ongoing thing. What happened was, right, here's the thing. I used to do speaker training in Dubai. I used to do them on Saturdays and have big decision makers, people who were managing directors or startups or entrepreneurs or whoever, wanting to learn to speak on stage. So I did that for a while. Pandemic hit. I stopped doing it completely for obvious reasons. There were no audiences and there was no way you could get people into a room. And of course, all the many people are saying, Dave, I really need you to help me with my speaking career. And I'm going, ha ha ha, I don't need you. There is nowhere to speak. There's nobody needs me to speak. I'm quite quiet and keeping it to myself. So I left it, and that's how I created the ability to help people to grow their brand and become industry icons and work with thought leaders as an accelerator that they needed to be able to position themselves as the best at what they do. Well, that's all changed again. Not completely. From my point of view, it's still the same thing. But people are out now doing gigs. People are now speaking on stages. There are conferences and events happening around the world. And I went to one recently, which is a VIP event with lots of very well-known dignitaries in the room. And probably about 400 people, and the person who was organizing went on stage with a microphone to welcome and introduce everybody, and guess what happened? Nobody would shut up. I did. I was near the stage. I wanted to see what was going on, but people talked all the way through. So the conversation that was happening on a microphone was being lost over the buzz of people talking. And then when the guest speakers came on, same thing. So what does that mean? It means that people don't know how to speak properly, don't know how to control an audience properly. They're wasting their money when they're going up and talking as a sponsored position if the audience isn't in place. Now, the thing is, you should be able to do this yourself. I've hosted many events. I've also spoken on many stages where there's been an MC who couldn't control the audience properly. It's a lot harder if the MC doesn't do it, I've got to admit, but it isn't impossible to be able to go up and make the room be quiet, and you train them or they will train you. Do you get what I'm talking about? Very good. Okay, so let's crack on with this. So I have a keynote, how to be a paid keynote speaker masterclass. So if you're a thought leader and you're thinking, right, you know what, I really need to take my audience and get my audience enthralled in what it is I'm doing, then you're absolutely right. Or if you're a CEO or a decision maker of some description, or you're already a speaker but you're doing it all for free, and you're thinking, I want to get paid for this, then this is how you do it. If you're based in Dubai, this is, or based in the UAE, then get this QR code. All you need to do is get your phone and hold it up like that, and take the QR code, press the yellow brick that moves around. It's like whack-a-mole trying to stop it, and then you get details about the event. If not, and you can't be bothered, then go to speakonstage.com/keynote, and you'll see the details. There will be an online version at some point because I'll probably record the session and choose all the best bits to share with you. So if you really want to be positioned as some of the best in the world, then that's what you have to do. And it's quite clear from attending events just how bad everybody is at doing it. Not everybody. I'm pretty good, and I can show you how to do it. Got some big events coming up myself. I'm hosting at Cityscape, Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, and it's one of the biggest real events on the planet. In fact, the biggest real event on the planet. Why are they hiring you, Dave? Because I can work audiences and I know what I'm talking about. So this is essential for you because I do know what I'm talking about. So That's that out of the way. Welcome to the show if you just arrived, and let's get straight into it. The intention of today is to help you to be able to understand how speaking is so important, because most people can't do it. Most people are petrified of it, but there's no better way of positioning yourself than doing this. All right. Let's talk about the importance of being able to position yourself and brand yourself, and speaking is a fast-tracking way of doing it. Right now on LinkedIn, the algorithms have changed to really go back into what you do for a living. Are you an expert? Are you a thought leader? Do you have a message to send to people? If so, then LinkedIn are leaning in more towards that than they used to be, about people taking selfies and looking glamorous, or having a YouTube video about people find viral and just doing that to get the numbers. They really want you to be connected to people who are really interested in your content. And the best way to do it is to speak. And speaking isn't just the ability to talk in front of a microphone, in front of an audience. There are lots of different ways of being able to speak. Let me illustrate this to you right now with this particular diagram. So here we go. The speaker income streams, forget about the numbers on that. That does change. But here's a number of different ways that speaking impacts you. Coaching and mentoring, running memberships, your own products, talking about your products, affiliate sales and joint ventures, and writing books. It's your voice I'm talking about, not just your ability to speak and broadcast to people, but your ability to have a voice that resonates with people and say things and write things and communicate in ways that people find effective. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave, thank you. So speaking changes your life. From my own experiences, you may already know that I've been involved in entertainment for about 50 years. Yes, it's true. I know I don't look it, but I am. So there's me on stage years ago, and it's actually a black and white picture, not a race joke intended. I colorized it using AI. Isn't that amazing? And it's not far off, but we were dressed as chimney sweeps. I wasn't that poor in those days, not like now. I'm joking. So with that, next to it, you can see me joining the holiday resorts in the UK. And I learned to be an entertainer from working on what called the holiday camps. For Brits who know the show Heidi High, you'll get it. For anybody else who doesn't understand the concept of holiday resorts, during the 60s, in 1960s, that is, not 2060s, not quite got there yet. The British government and the British industry realized they had factory workers that were desperate to go out and connect with each other and have a holiday, but they couldn't really afford it. So they built these holiday resorts that were basically just chalets with a big room that you could go to be entertained. So they'd have singers and dancers and bands and all sorts of stuff. And they still exist now, and there's lots of them across the UK, not as popular as I think it was before, but certainly that's what the working class person would do. Now, I learned to be an entertainer, to do the stuff I do, by going to those and being an entertainer on those resorts. So a number of them, Warners and Butlins, and who else is out there? Anyway, there's a number of them. I can't remember all the different names. Ladbrokes, that's another one. I worked for a couple of them anyway, and I learned to entertain audiences, and that's me arriving on the Isle of Wight. You can see me in the car, in the centre, with my arms out. There we go. Doing Heidi High or doing YMCA or something. And my hair was very different then. Not like now, where there's lots of bald patches and a bit shiny stuff on top. So I had entertainment DNA all the way through my life, and I made a point of doing that. I was also a BBC journalist, and there you can see me with thin legs, thin body, and thin hair, on stage with my friend Tony for BBC Cleveland, taking it to a festival and playing music and playing games with the audience and stuff like that. Why was I so good at doing that? Because I'd been to those holiday resorts. Remember the picture earlier? See the picture earlier? Yes, watching Dave? Remember that one? Yeah, that's where I learned. That one with me in the car. With my friends Mark Goddard and lots of other people. Okay, so that's where I learned to be doing all these different things. And then when I worked for the BBC, I got to work with pop stars for the first time. And that's a group called Curiosity, who only Brits will know, probably. Curiosity Killed the Cat, they were originally called. And you don't know what I'm talking about. And it was in the 80s, I think, when they had their hits-ish. So, let's talk about speaking. The important thing, the one thing that you need to know about speaking is that it's a growth. It grows all the way through. You get more confident and more experience as you learn. And every single presentation I give, I realize is better than the one before, even if it's not even a great presentation, but I learn stuff with every live presentation. Every time I reach an audience, there's something else that comes to mind. It might be the proximity between me and the audience. It might be the lighting, it might be the sound, it might be the PowerPoint doesn't work, it could be anything. But I learn something and I add that to my portfolio and my presentation arsenal of things to do and what not to do whenever you're working with a live audience. So it is a real challenge as you go. Now, my one skill, I believe, is this. My core wound, as you probably guessed, being a person of color, growing up in places that weren't full of people of color. Well, they were colors, not like everyone was a zombie, but the only mixed race kids, certainly in the places where I grew up, was I learned how to get the Wi-Fi code. You know Wi-Fi code? Let me explain. If you go into a hotel and you want internet and you ask reception, is there a Wi-Fi code, or a restaurant or a coffee shop, they'll say yes. This is the what you're looking for, and this is what you put in. You know what I mean? And then you get access to Wi-Fi. Internet, amazing. You'll catch up with it. So I learned to be very good at getting a Wi-Fi code of people in front of me because it's part of my survival technique. Are they my friend? Are they my foe? Do I need to make them laugh? Do I need to make them serious? How do I deal with everybody? And it became like a martial art for me to be able to connect with people. And that translated into me being very, very good at working with live stages. But it also became very good as a therapist because then you understand and profile what's going on inside people when you're able to talk to them. And that's how I'm able to work with thought leaders and industry icons and game changers. With me so far? Good. All right, next. And when you are a great speaker, you do feel like a rock star. This is me actually on stage. I know, yes, there's people who've got fingers cut off. No, that's not true. That was me bringing on, I think, Slash and Velvet Revolver. I used to always rock concerts, right? And I didn't do them. I was brought in by, excuse me, CSM, who were hosting the events. So Dave, you and your team go and do stuff. So I'd go out and work up the audience of maybe 15,000, 10,000, whatever people, and get them all excited for the bands to come on. So during that time with the rock ones, got to work with Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, and who else was big in rock? Iron Maiden, Muse, Korn, Incubus, Prodigy. I could keep going through a who's who, Paul Weller of rock gods and goddesses. And it's fascinating. So when you go out and work an audience, it feels like that. Now, here's why I bring this conversation in. When you work on a live stage, it's like being a rock concert. It is. When you give a keynote presentation, you're giving effectively a 30-minute or a 20-minute or a 45-minute or an hour of a concert-style performance, but it's spoken word. So you take people on a journey from beginning to the end, and by the end of it, they should be clapping because they had an experience that changed their lives. Does that make sense? Good. So let's crack on. So you feel like a rock star when you're a great speaker. And as an entertainer, I went to do on lots of big gigs as well. There's Bruce Willis with me, opening Planet Hollywood, and on the right-hand side, or on the center of the screen as you look at it, you can see me working with the audience to bring on Kanye West, that well-known political figure. Don't go there, Dave, you get sued. Okay. Moving on. So what is it that's so important about being able to work an audience? Well, if you're hosting an event or you're bringing in a speaker, let me share with you that you really need to invest in somebody who knows what they're doing. And why am I telling you this? Well, I'm telling you this because as I train you to be a speaker, if you attend my trainings or you join my Game Changers or Mainstream Icon program, then I'll make sure that all the things I cover in this, you know how to do. So you can go onto any stage anywhere, and in this particular case, you'll see me going on to the World HR Summit in Mumbai, which was a great event, and the guy who brought me on was a lovely guy, but he brought me on too early, and he got my name wrong, and I wasn't plugged in properly, and the audience kind of gave me a lukewarm clap. So, to rectify that, I'm going to show you exactly how I dealt with it, and this is the key to being...
For 30 minutes of you, Mr. Dev.
In fact, I'm showing you now exactly what the sound is like, but I shouldn't be. I should be showing you. So that's it. It started now, but I'm going to show you properly what it was like when it happened on stage. It's complicated working live. This is Speak on Stage.
For 30 minutes of you, Mr. Dev CRANE. He's from Dubai, and he's going to talk on the future leader. Dev, over to you, and presentation is just getting ready, so you can take the stage.
Thank you so much. My light's not on yet, so I'll just wait until we're plugged in, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's it. In 30 seconds, let's do that again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've hosted over 1,000 events.
And there's nothing more exciting or nerve-wracking than getting to introduce one of the best in the business. He's an award-winning international motivational speaker and coach. He's worked with celebrities like James Brown and Bruce Willis.
And I'm Jack Canfield. And I'm Brian Tracy.
And I'm John Gray.
I'm Jared Robin.
And I'm Perry Marshall.
Hi, and I'm George Reed.
To audiences of over 1 billion people. He's sharing how to become unstoppable in business. It's my honor to introduce to you Dave Crane.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. We've got a lot to get through today, and it does need some audience participation. So you see what happened there? I went on stage and the intro wasn't very good, and it would have actually killed my presentation. If you go on to, you train the audience or they train you. So whatever you set up before you go to an event is really important. The pre-event event is really important, because when you go along to see a big rock star, you've already done all the checking of who they are, what they do. You listen to the music in the car on the way down. It's basically just a get together of friends when they come on stage, because you know what they're going to sing, or most of it, and you're very excited to make sure it all comes together. But when people don't know who you are and you're walking on stage and they've got no clue, you need to educate them in a very short amount of time. And you've got to ask that question first of all, which is what's in it for them. When you do that, it's not an ego thing, whatever that might have looked like. It's not about me, it's about them. But they'll get a better experience if I create trust and credibility, and basically the certainty that whatever I share with them is going to be worthwhile. I've got to do that, and in that case I had to recharge the room from scratch, and I did that with that video. That makes sense? Yeah, good. Okay. So it's all about how to speak on stage, and today's session is really built around me to get you to understand what happens when you position yourself. I'm going to give you now 10 questions you must ask before starting your speaking career. So you can start making notes of this, or take a screenshot as you go. Ask me questions as you want. I may take them, or I may answer them later on, depending on whether I want to look at what people are writing. Because sometimes it's just, hello, Dave. In which case, hi, how are you? And I've got to wait, and they go, fine. And that would really ruin this broadcast, so I'm not going to do that. If you're watching on the video, on the screen, or wherever you are on your phone, then it was a funny joke. If you're listening to it, it didn't quite translate so well, but not to worry. Okay, so 10 questions you must ask before starting your speaking career. Let's start with this one. First one, what is my unique message? What am I going to tell people about? What is it? If I'm going to ask them, please stay here for 20 minutes, to 45 minutes to an hour watching me speak. You'll never get this time back again, but is it going to be worthwhile for them? If the answer is no, then you need to reconsider it. Your unique message has to have impact. It has to be about you, but also about them, and about something that's going to improve their lives. Otherwise, don't do it. Number 2 is this. Who is my target audience? If you go out to the wrong audience, then you'll find a room full of people could be waiting for you who go, why is it talking to me? I don't like him. It's got no relevance. The stuff he's talking about isn't our world. So how do you fix this? Well, when you get the Wi-Fi code right, you can also connect with people very quickly, whoever they are, and speak the way that they want to be spoken to. So I can talk to kids, I can talk to older people, of which I am one now, or much younger people, of which everybody else is one, because I've got experience of doing it. But you might also want to do your homework to know who's in the room before you arrive. So therefore you can prepare your material and your jokes and your presentation to be relevant to them. Because there's nothing worse than somebody starting to talk on stage and then people lose interest, and then they start talking amongst themselves or going on their phone because they just zone out. They don't necessarily walk up, to the stage and pull them off, or walk out the door. They just sit there and lose interest, and then start chatting. And that person's trying their very best to keep the audience in play. And if you're thinking this, oh, Dave, don't say that. That's happened to me. That's why I'm here to help you, to get you to fix it. Okay, so who's my target audience? You want to get that right. Number 3 is this. What's my short and long-term goals of being a speaker? Do I want to turn it into a proper career? Do I want to travel the world as a speaker and have people pay me to talk about my message or my experiences or my findings or my book or my TV show or my podcast? What is it? And short term, am I just trying to raise my social media profile? Am I trying to close some deals? Am I trying to connect to people? What is it? Work it out for yourself, because they are different and your goals do change quite considerably. For me, when I first started speaking on stages, it was to be, in fact, I started speaking on stages to do my hypnosis show. It's going to be weird, isn't it? Okay, so I was a DJ for many years. I did 70s nights and all sorts of stuff, clubs and everything. And then when I started doing my stage hypnosis show, when you first start doing a stage hypnosis show, you've got to work the audience. And when you work the audience, you've got to talk to them about why it's really safe and cool for them to go on stage. It's like a karaoke experience. And what happened was, people said to me, Dave, I really like that bit you do at the beginning of the audio of a show to get people to come on stage. Could you do that for my team, about your mindset and about how you drive everything around you, and speak to them? I said, yes. I said, you want the show as well? I said, no, we don't need a show, just that bit. I said, well, you pay me the same money as my show? Yeah, no problem. I went, okay. And bing, I became a motivational speaker. That's the truth. That's how it happened. Let me show you a little bit actually of what it looks like to do a stage hypnosis show, so I'm not making it up about getting people excited and getting people to do crazy stuff. This is what happens when you work it right on the Hypno Show. And I tell you this because I've got a Hypno Show coming up soon, and at the end of the day, it's all about speaking. Watch this.
Two people who are getting married in the very first ever experience of intergalactic marriage. What's your name? Okay. You can speak English as well. So what's your name in English?
Tomasz.
Tomasz. Okay. What's your Martian name? And in Martian, what is it you're doing on Mars?
Reinvent.
Okay. Now, if I can get you to stand here, because I need you to translate for me. You have this beautiful Martian wife. What's her name?
Anna.
Calm down. So, you're going to get married. Obviously, how long have you been together? In English?
12 years.
12 years. And so, why did it take you so long to get married? Can you ask your wife, your wife-to-be, why it's taken so long for her to accept a marriage? What did she say?
I know. She's using dialect.
Can you ask your beautiful wife what it was that first attracted her to you?
Le guitare. Je connais beaucoup de musique.
Don't have to translate that.
So that was a bit of fun with the hypnosis show. Just to illustrate the fact that this is all just speaking. I don't know the people in the audience. I get them up and I hypnotize them and they do incredible things. And it's really, really empowering for them when they realize that their normal living in a box, doing stuff a certain way, they can change and tap into versions of themselves that can be even more successful and speak fluent Martian, as you experienced. Okay, so next up on the list, so that's long and short-term goals. Number 4 is how will I develop my speaking skills? I want to be good. How do I make it happen? Big challenge. Well, you need to get trained. I would not just suggest going to meetup groups and going on stage and just grabbing a microphone. That's a great way to learn, but there's Toastmasters. There's lots of other ways of learning. There's videos, there's processes you can go through because you want to be able to hit the ground running. If you talk to the audience, as many people do, and say, oh, I've never spoken to anybody before, this is my first time, the audience is thinking, why am I your guinea pig? Why can't I just leave? Why have you locked the doors before you started talking? And you've got to bear that in mind. Don't lock the doors ever. Okay, number 5. What's my brand? And how will I promote it? It's true. Who are you? What are you talking about? What is it that the audience who you've worked out are going to want from you? And do they instantly see the relationship between who you position yourself as and what it is that they're going to want? If you're going to have a paid audience, or even you're going to a long where people are, an event where people are paying to go in and you're not being paid directly for that necessarily, you need to make sure you align with everything. Because the promotion is much easier if people know who you are, what you do, and it fits in with what they're going to want to be able to say. So that's important to look at. All right, next question is this. Number 6, how will I handle rejection or failure? And this is a bit where, as I'm saying it to you, you're probably thinking, rejection and failure, Dave. How do I deal with that with a live audience? There's lots of ways of dealing with rejection and failure, but there's also rejection or failure about getting your first speaking gig. When you're knocking on doors saying, hi, here I am, I'd like to speak to you. Most speakers are unpaid. Why? Because they've got audiences that are free, or it's because the organizers have got them in for free and said, oh, don't worry, it'll be your target market, you'll love it, and so on. And there's nothing wrong with gaining experience, but at some point you really have to position yourself and say, I'm worthy of this, and that should be part of your journey and your learning curve as you go. So you will get rejection, you will get failure, but you also learn a ton on the way. All right, number 7, what is my speaking fee? This is something that I'll be spending time on when we go to the keynote, the paid keynote speaking masterclass, because there's lots of different ways of looking at how you get paid, lots of different fee structures, and hiccups, clearly. So you can be paid up front, you can be paid back end, you can be paid as you go, you can have spin-offs that turn into money for you, like coaching is a natural way, or mentoring, or a series of events. I've done tours of speaking where they've paid me for each of the different venues that I've spoken at, but paid me in advance for a fee for everything, because they're working with the same basic client. So there's lots of different ways of looking at it, but you do need to make sure that you have got a structure in place. If you don't, people will get you to work for free, and you'll love it because you've got an audience clapping, and you'll pay for your own lunch or your own dinner on the way home, and you'll say, did everybody win here but me? And the answer is yes, they did. Number 8, how will I balance my speaking career and my personal life? Yeah, now that might not seem like an issue for you, but when you do go on stage and you do give so much to an audience, what I find afterwards is that I can't speak. Everybody who's a friend of mine, my family, my close friends, knows that what happens is when I go on stage, I'm like a battery. I've soaked up all this energy and all this content and all this stuff I want to share with people, and I go blur to the audience, right? If you get it right with an audience, they go blur back with feedback and smiles and cheers and claps. And it's like a game of tennis of energy as you're passing it like that. But sometimes you're just giving it one way. You're giving it to them, and especially depends on your audience. You might have accountants in the room, no disrespect to accountants, auditors, no disrespect to auditors. But they tend to be people that are strokey chins. Doctors, another group of people who tend to be strokey chin. And they don't tend to react to stuff, they just tend to stare, which means that it's literally, it's like a sponge. They take as much as you've got, and it's really hard to get feedback. So it's not like a game of tennis with energy between you and them. It's one way. So when you come off stage, you're exhausted. Now, they might turn around and say, that was amazing. And you're thinking, it was painful. But to them, they received it differently from what you actually said it. But you still end up a little bit tired. So your family needs to know that it's not them you're ignoring. You're just exhausted, and you can't say anything else for a while until you've recharged your battery, so then you can go out and do stuff again. Let me explain what this means. So, for instance, when you come across rock stars, pop stars, and you hear about their drug problems or their alcohol addictions or their depression and all the stuff, you're thinking, how could that be? You're a rock star. The world loves you. You've got so much money. Yeah, but the yin and yang of performing and not performing can be brutal. You have to build yourself up before you go on stage and deal with all the rubbish that your personal life might be throwing into you, like divorces or just exhaustion or health problems, and then put that to one side, go back on stage and entertain. So you have to be ready and have to have family around it and know how to do that. So it's balancing a speaking career with your personal life, and also there's a time issues of when you're on stage and when you're not, and what kind of ego you're going to have. Lots of different things there. Okay, so who can support me on my journey? Hello, my name is Dave Crane. Now, if you're thinking, right, Dave, can you support me on my journey? I will explain to you exactly how in a moment. So that's very important for you to know. Okay, next up. Am I ready to inspire and make a difference? If the answer is no, do not do it. You're going to get really upset because why don't people like my message? Because you're not caring about them. Yeah, but why should I make a difference? I want to talk about me. Nobody cares. You don't care about me, do you? Oh, that's very kind of you, but you don't really. You care about what I can share with you, what I can say that will help you, and so does everybody else. So therefore, when I talk about the importance of knowing that you can inspire and make a difference, that should be at the heart of every single thing that you do with any audience that you meet anywhere. And if you're not taking it as that, and you're not concentrating on how can I help them, what's in it for them, then you're going to find yourself very disappointed because it just won't connect. And you'll be going around in circles doing really rubbish gigs, and people watch you, they might clap, they might not clap, but they never go back to see you again. There we go. So if you would like to be a great speaker and you're already a thought leader, or if you want to be a thought leader, I've got a masterclass for you in Dubai. It may be online, so let me know if you fancy joining an online version of it as well. And how to be a paid keynote speaker. I'll be covering all this and more in a full day of training. And if you're wondering, Dave, what's it like to do speaking and why should I do it? Well, the world has gone in many different directions. There's quite a few things that have happened recently around the world, which make you think about the politics and the different countries and the divisions and all the rest that goes with it. For me, I think that one of the best ways to stay relevant is your ability to speak. If you can speak and you've got a product that you can monetize, then you can position yourself as a world leader in your field. And a world leader in your field means you are a thought leader at the same time. And if you get it right, it's as easy as breathing. This is your time. Oh, sorry, pressed the wrong button. It looked really good then, didn't it? Where were we? Hey, Dave, don't press that button again. Okay, sorry, bye. This is your time. You worked very hard to get where you are, an inspiration to many, a mentor, a rainmaker, and a successful boss. But the one thing you've never done well is now the one skill you have to learn: public speaking. Great leaders throughout time have always shown their power from the stage. Now is the most essential ability for anybody to be seen as a change maker, industry expert, high achiever, or thought leader. Do you have a fear of public speaking? Are you missing out? Does your tribe need a chief executive officer who can command and motivate from on stage? Is your message getting lost because you need to be able to present from conferences, events, and global forums? My name is Dave Crane. I've worked on stage for over 4 decades. I've done every kind of entertainment, and I train leaders around the world to find their voice, realize their power, and dominate their industry. I've worked alongside some of the smartest names and most respected business coaches in the world. I train world leaders, industry experts, and high achievers to speak. What do you need? Do you need to share an idea, a theory, a formula, or an invention? Do you need to position yourself among the best of your peers as a key voice to lead into the digital age? Do you need to elevate and grow your personal brand? Are you ready to share stages and concepts among the most innovative minds, producing viral videos and great speeches on a global scale? Most leaders who are great communicators fail with a microphone because they don't know stagecraft. They don't know how to engage, entertain, and motivate large crowds. But when you do know how, it's just like breathing. So here's what you do next. Talk to me at speakonstage.com, and I'll help you become one of the very best speakers in the world. Exciting, isn't it? So you're going to come and join us with that special masterclass, and I'll give you details one more time. Can you see it? Where are we? Here. Okay, so get the QR code, and then you'll be able to do it. I'll make it slightly bigger, as long as my big fat head does. Oh no, I've ruined it now by being. If I disappear completely, there you are. See, everybody can get that. Even if you're on your phone, you can press that, and it should enlighten you and be able to connect you to be able to go along to a masterclass. All right. So we've got a personal branding accelerator as well. If you're really looking towards being better at LinkedIn and being able to get over imposter syndrome and all the other. If you're remote, basically, if you're not based in the UAE and you're thinking, Dave, I can't get there, but I really want to learn this stuff. You can learn about your personal brand, how to get hired on to do, how to get onto other people's podcasts, how to message your clients so they just go, I want to buy from you instantly before you've met them, and how to create your own personal brand as well, and LinkedIn mastery. All this and more, and getting over imposter syndrome is in the personal branding accelerator. And you're thinking, Dave, what is that? Well, let me share it with you very quickly. This is it.
If you're a decision maker who's worried you're wasting time missing out on great clients or even losing money, you can fix it immediately with the Personal Branding Accelerator program. I help game changers like you build a personal and business brand that automatically attracts clients who want to invest in you. Imagine waking up and feeling unstoppable because your ideas turn into dollars every time. Get booked onto podcasts, master LinkedIn, and attract clients immediately with the Personal Branding Accelerator program, and discover the future successes you deserve right now.
There you go. Details of that are available in the comments section. I'll put them into the blurb about the copy of the show. Did you enjoy it? Do you have any questions? Did it work for you? Are you going, I really want to speak, Dave, but I've got no idea how to start it? Well, that's what I'm here to do. Contact me directly and I'll help you get onto one of my programs, or go to the programs that I've given you, which will get you up to speed. And especially if you're already a speaker, the thing is, I spend a lot of time watching other speakers and other systems and so I get ideas all the time. You should never just say, I've learned everything, because the game changes in front of you and you've got to raise your game as a result of that. If you've got any questions, then feel free to ask me, by the way. And for anybody who wants to be a thought leader, this is my Thought Leader Accelerator, which is the industry icon program, and it will change your life. I guarantee that's true as well. If you're wondering how that works, Dave, well, supposing you started off just going, you know what, Dave, I like what you say, or as people say, I like the cut of your jib. I don't know what a jib is. Is that giblets? I'm not going to show you my giblets unless I get run over, and that shouldn't happen. So like the cut of my jib, but don't tell me what it means unless you can put it into the comment section so I can go, oh, it means chin. Right. Why did you say I like the cut of your chin? Why did you say I like your chin? No, cut of your chin. I've not cut myself shaving. I've had a beard for years. Why would I cut it? Just say. So, when you want to learn to become an industry icon, there's 6 stages that go towards this. First one is the awareness of saying, you know what? I can do better. I don't know what it is. I'm just aware that there's more to life than I see right now. Then number 2, you aspire to be better, and you're looking around at other people saying, they've got this, how come I've not got it? And then you start moving yourself, driving forward, and you don't know where you're going, but you know you've got your act together, social media, you're doing all that stuff, you start to speak about stuff, and people are paying attention to you. So you're kind of like in your toddler baby stages. Don't mean to be patronizing, but you're finding your way. And then number 4 is polishing. You realize positioning. You realize that your car is driving in the wrong direction, or not quite where your angle should be. So then you start to go, actually the roadmap is going in this direction. That's where my target audience is, and I want to make sure that I deliver to them. So you change the route. You've got a roadmap now. Number 5 is refining. You realize you don't need to carry so much stuff in the car, and so you narrow it down. You move a lot faster because you know when you arrive there, your target market only needs 1 or 2 things, maybe 3 maximum from you. And then when you get it right and you publicize it and you grow it, you can influence easily. You do what you love. You created a legacy around you, and people will call you an industry icon. And that's actually knowing that you own your industry, or at least you own a section there. And people refer to you as a verb. And say, right, I want to have the Dave Crane on this event, which means that you want somebody to go out there, entertain everybody, but talk in a business way as well. See what I did there? I made my name a verb. And if you're watching this and saying, is he Dave Crane? Yes, that's the point in doing it. So you're creating your legacy is the bottom line. If you're not doing it, then that's wrong. Well, it's not wrong, you can do what you want. But the point is, if you create a legacy right now while you're alive, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. And then it guarantees that after you go, you might not care, but you might have a family or kids that live long after you. You want to make sure that they are not spending all their time backtracking and saying, you know what, mum and dad were really nice, not they were idiots and it's all come out now. Make sure you create a legacy so they can be proud of it as well. Very important. And you can enjoy it. And that covers a number of different things. That includes podcasts and books and awards and online courses, events and keynotes, and creating membership sites and retreats. I've talked about this before with signature projects. If you're interested in this and you're a thought leader, I have a methodology, a system called the Industry Icon Program, and it's a thought leader accelerator, which I work with people to be able to help themselves be seen going from invisible to invincible around the world. See what I did there? Pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, and if you want to join my WhatsApp group, it is free. This is free. Turbocharge Your Career 5-day challenge. There's always one going on. I'm going to shut the group for the rest of the month and then open up for 5 days or 7 days because you can talk to each other during that time. So if the next one starts shortly, all you have to do is get the QR code and apply to join. And if I like you, I will let you in. And then you suddenly go, wow, that's amazing. And the next one, or the current one, or the last one, depending on when you pay attention to this particular video, is all about how to be a keynote speaker. Yes. So if you want to start your speaking career and you're wondering, how do I do it, Dave? Bob, how do I burp? It's clear you burp like me. Then that's it. So thank you for being there. You've been amazing and ever so lovely. And I hope you got a lot of joy out of this. If you did, then please share it with everybody and like it and comment and make sure that you know that I know that you know that I know that you know it. And I know it as well. And that's what we know. Lost myself in there as well. That's it for me. Look forward to catching you on another podcast soon. Check out the back catalogue, which are on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere that we are. In fact, go to my website, Speak on Stage, go to podcast, click your way down, and you'll find 3 seasons of amazing stuff all about speaking, branding, and positioning that will really help you to create income streams and reinvent your life. That's it for me. Look after yourselves, stay groovy, lots of love, and bye.